Hello and welcome to Galata Plus. In this episode, we are going to be talking about Van Frank Diengdo's Lorni the Flaneur, a Khasi language film that stars Adil Hussain. It's now playing on Sony Live. Now, the dictionary definition of flaneur is someone who walks around not doing anything in particular but watching people and society. The Shillong-based Syiem, played by Adil Hussain, is seemingly a private investigator, but he is the flaneur of the title. In an early scene, he is seen gambling at a funeral. As Esther, played by Dawiat Syiem, passes them, Syiem and his friends ask her for tea and snacks. Later, Syiem says in a voiceover we will hear throughout the film, "I went back home penniless that night, but I must admit it was the best cup of tea I've ever had in a funeral house." He spends a lot of time at a local eatery observing three young men. One stormy day, he says, a terrible storm broke out that afternoon. Great lashings of lightning split the sky. Syiem may observe and speak largely in a literary style of English, but the rest of Van Frank Diengdo's film is in the Khasi language. On the surface, this dreamily paced narrative plays like noir. There is a series of burglaries, and after ages, Syiem gets past the empty pages in his appointment diary and actually gets something to do, something to investigate. And in between, we keep hearing those voiceovers or lines with a similar flavor. When Syiem meets Esther in a bar, she asks, "Aren't you going to ask me what a nice girl like me is doing in a place like this?" Again, it's classic noir atmosphere, classic noir dialogue, and a classic femme fatale from noir. Adil Hussain does something wonderful. Syiem is haunted by a tragedy. There's a reason he has not touched a bottle of liquor for 7 years. But Adil does not portray Syiem as a man who needs to be pitied. Like the rest of Shillong, he's trying to leave the past behind and look ahead. But can you really forget? Hence the quote that opens the film, "I have no desire to suffer twice, in reality and then in retrospect." It's from Oedipus Rex, the Sophocles play, and Sophocles could have written the line for Syiem, who's suffering twice. One, from the reality of what happened in the past, and two, from remembering that reality. He remembers it every single day. The film similarly depicts Shillong as a split personality. On the one hand, it is a land of rich myths and folklore, that is the past, and the creatures from those myths seem to have survived to the present day. Syiem calls them primeval things people talk about even today, like a bloodthirsty animal that dwelt in a cave. This is not a monster movie, but the monsters are in the mind. The reason Shillong suffers is its inability to move on from the past, even as the modernized world has forced other aspects of the place to move on. And that is why the burglaries are so tied to the past, to the Shillong that once was before Nagas and Mizos and Bangladeshis moved in. These people are denoted in a racist way as those people. In one case, what's stolen is a necklace of immense cultural value. It's practically out of a myth which plays out as a brightly colored stretch that contrasts with the dull tones of the present day. But what about the intangible things that are being stolen or that disappear every day? The stories, the sounds, the words of a land. So the thefts become a kind of metaphor. Yes, there are things that are literally being stolen, but there's also the identity of Shillong that is vanishing. Esther seems to echo the filmmaker when she says that she has a love-hate relationship with Shillong, and it makes sense that the truth is revealed by someone who has fled the place, who has fled Shillong. One way to escape the suffering Sophocles talks about is to assume a new identity and to create a new reality. Another way is to revel in the old or live in the past. But being in the present, that's the painful part. In the guise of a whodunit, Lorni the Flaneur captures the confusion of transition. It's a mystery that lies beyond the skills of a private investigator. All he can do is be a flaneur. He can watch, but he can actually not do anything. So that's it about Lorni the Flaneur. If you like this review, do subscribe to Galata Plus, and see you soon at the movies or in an OTT platform.